Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel, and a few weeks ago I posted a video showing how to create long exposure images using a technique called mean stacking, eliminating the need to invest in neutral density filters. Now, the response to that has been overwhelming, especially for a young channel such as this, so thank you to everyone who watched and commented. But there was one question that reared up a number of times in the comments. Can you do this without Photoshop? The short answer is, of course, yes. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it can be achieved across several different software packages, none of which will cost you a penny. If you haven't seen the original video, I'd recommend watching that first because this video assumes you already understand the basic concept of mean stacking, as today we're purely focused on the software alternatives. So, let's get into it. First up, and the one I'd recommend to most people, is Affinity. Now, Affinity was acquired by Canva in 2024 and is now completely free. So you get a professional grade photo editor with a built-in stacking feature at absolutely no cost. For anyone who's been reluctant to commit to an Adobe subscription, this is a genuinely compelling alternative. The workflow in Affinity is a lot more straightforward than Photoshop. Rather than loading files as layers, converting them all to a smart object, and sifting through the menus to find the stack mode you want, Affinity uses a dedicated live stack feature. Simply go to File, New Image Process, New Stack. Click Add, navigate to your image sequence and load them in. Make sure the checkbox for automatically align images is unchecked, otherwise Affinity will attempt to do funky things with your sequence. Go ahead and click OK. Now, over in the Layers panel, you'll see your new live stack group. This small arrow icon unfurls to reveal the contents, so you can easily turn individual layers on and off if you wish, and the result updates in real time, unlike Photoshop, which has to reprocess and can take decades. And this small stack icon here gives you your blending options. The one you're looking for is mean, so select that. And there it is. Instantly. Same result as Photoshop, only completely free, and with a quicker, easier, more practical route to get there. I feel it's worth pointing out here that Affinity's workflow is actually superior to Photoshop in that the live stack is completely non-destructive. You can switch between blending modes in real time, experiment with different frame counts, and toggle between results without reprocessing from scratch. It's genuinely more flexible. And remember what we discussed in the original video about testing with low-resolution JPEGs first before committing to full-resolution TIFFs? That workflow applies here too. Test in Affinity with your low-res JPEGs first, decide on your frame count, then go back and process with full-resolution files. Same principle, same time saving. So if you're not already paying for Photoshop, start here. It's free, it's capable, and the mean stacking workflow is clean, it's intuitive, and actually a lot more flexible than Photoshop in this specific application. In fact, if you are already paying for Photoshop and want to use this technique, maybe look at Affinity anyway. Next up is a package you've probably never heard of. It's called ImageJ, otherwise known as Fiji. Now, I'll be upfront with you, this one looks very different to what most photographers are used to. It's free, open source software developed originally for scientific image analysis, and the interface reflects that. It's very utilitarian. It looks like it was designed by scientists for scientists, because it was. Don't let that put you off though. For mean stacking specifically, it's extremely capable, surprisingly fast at processing larger sequences, and once you know where to find the right function, it's actually a remarkably clean workflow. And it's also completely free. Load your image sequence by going to File, Import, Image Sequence. Now, here you just need to navigate to the folder containing your image sequence, and ImageJ will automatically detect and load all the images in that folder as a stack. In the Sequence Options dialog, make sure Sort Names Numerically is checked. This ensures your frames load in the correct chronological order rather than alphabetical, which can cause problems if your file names aren't perfectly sequential. Click OK. Once your stack is loaded, you'll see all your frames visible as this scrollable stack in the main window. Now here's where the mean stack happens. Go to Image, Stacks, Z Project. In the Z Project dialog, you'll see a drop down for projection type. This is the key setting. Select Average Intensity. Average Intensity is just ImageJ's equivalent of Photoshop's mean stack mode. The terminology is different, but the maths are identical. Click OK, and ImageJ processes the stack and produces your averaged composite image. To save it, go to File, Save As, and select TIFF. This gives you a clean, full-quality TIFF file to open in your editing software of choice for processing and finishing. It should also be mentioned that, regardless of which option I tried, ImageJ simply would not display 16-bit images correctly, defaulting to display the red channel every time, and no amount of option selection would persuade it otherwise. JPEGs and 8-bit TIFFs, however, were fine. Now, ImageJ is purely a stacking tool here. There's no real editing suite attached, although you can do some basic adjustments. Your workflow would then effectively become ImageJ for the stack, and then whichever editor you prefer for the processing and finishing, if you wanted a greater degree of control over the final image. At the end of the day, ImageJ and assuming you're using Affinity are both completely free, so the choice is yours. And as ImageJ is notably fast at processing large sequences, and especially if you're working with very long time-lapse shoots containing hundreds of frames, the speed advantage over other options is worth knowing about. Now, if you're a landscape photographer who also dabbles in astrophotography, then you may well be familiar with DeepSkyStacker. The name might suggest this is purely for astrophotographers, and like the mean stack process within Photoshop, that is its primary purpose. But as with Photoshop, the mean stacking maths at its core work just as effectively for storm photography, clouds, moving water, all the rest of it. And it's completely free. Like ImageJ, the interface is entirely utilitarian. Load your image sequence by clicking Open Picture Files at the top left here. Select all your time-lapse frames and add them to the list, which you'll see populate in the file panel below. Make sure you select Check All and then hit Stack Checked Pictures. Now, because this software is designed for astrophotography, some of the terminology and settings are aimed at that use case, so for our purposes, we want to go into the stacking parameters, hit the Light tab, and ensure your stacking mode is set to average, which is the mean stack equivalent. You then want to make sure no background calibration is set. Go ahead and click OK. You'll notice right away that DSS renders out an overexposed image. This is intentional because it's trying to pull pixels out of what it's assuming is a dark sky image. Come down to the Luminance tab at the bottom of the screen and set everything to 0. Don't worry if it still looks too bright and washed out. Click Save Picture to File, and you want to be saving it as a 16-bit TIFF. In the Options area, make sure to check Embed Adjustments in the saved image, but do not apply them. When you come to open the image in Photoshop or Affinity, you'll see the tonal range has been retained, but I found that the colours are still a little off, so some extra corrective work is required here. If you're already familiar with DeepSkyStacker, then this may still be a viable option for you. Otherwise, you may want to consider another free astrophotography application called Sequator. Again, this is aimed at astrophotographers, but is still fully capable for our purposes. Like DeepSkyStacker and ImageJ, it's fast, handles large file sequences easily, but given the extra steps needed in DeepSkyStacker's workflow to get an acceptable image, Sequator is probably the better option. However, as with those other two applications, it comes with the same destructive workflow in that it only spits out a single final TIFF image, meaning you can't edit the stack content on the fly like you can in Affinity. You will also need another application to convert that TIFF to something more social media friendly, if that's your intention. Mean stacking then is absolutely not limited to Photoshop, and you don't need to spend a single penny to achieve professional results. If I had to give you one recommendation, then I would start with Affinity. It's free, it's professional grade, it has a clean and intuitive workflow, and you get a full editing suite alongside it for finishing your images. So there's genuinely no reason not to have it installed. In fact, I may well start using Affinity full-time for my main stacking projects because Photoshop just takes an age. If, however, you're just after quick on-the-fly results, then I would go with either ImageJ or Sequator. In fact, you know what? Let's do a speed test. So I've got my stopwatch here and my coffee. Let's put each package through its paces and see which one processes the fastest. I'm going to use the same sequence throughout, which is this time-lapse of 116-bit TIFF files. First up is Affinity, and at 1 minute 17 seconds, that is way faster than I was expecting. Next up is ImageJ, which at 3 minutes 4 that's quite unexpected. And I'm sure when I was testing this during the course of making this video, it was faster than that, especially as it would only accept 8-bit TIFFs. Then we have DeepSkyStacker, which at almost 7 minutes, and then you have to color correct on top of that. Yeah, that's pretty pathetic. And finally we have Sequator, which at 1 minute 23 is mightily impressive. Now compare all this to Photoshop, which took a whopping 12 minutes. I'm not going to pretend to know the full ins and outs of the packages I've used here today, so if anyone knows a way to get the best results from them, then go ahead and mention so in the comments. If you haven't seen the original image stacking video, a link is in the description. That covers the full technique from scratch, including why I think this approach is superior to using traditional ND filters. I'll also include links to all the software I've demonstrated here. And that's it for this one. If you have any success with the methods outlined in this video, then do feel free to share your results. Thanks for watching, and as always, thanks for being here.